to anyone out there who wants to go fast.
I want to go fast.
Bandidos, if that sounds like you, then this is your build. This build is so fast, if I didn't show you the kills frame by frame, you'd probably miss them. The way I have it configured features the fastest vector in the game with an RPM over 1,890 rounds per minute on the front half of this mag. It's not just speed, it's power. We have max crit chance and 280% crit damage. Who would complain about that? And combined, it gives one of the fastest time to kills in the game. It's just a really fun way to go as an alternate to Hunter's Fury. And it's faster than Striker. But more importantly, it gives you all the heals that you need thanks to the Umbra gear set. And it's the perfect amount of heals for this build.
I got a jumpy right now because this is one of the most awesome experiences of my life.
Well, you can tell by the way I use my rock. Yes, I do. I want my rock.
So let's get into the details. So again, this is the fastest vector in the game. So let's start with the gun. So I have all crit chance mods here. And then I have this special tactical short grip for 10% crit hit damage. And then I have the long mag here. Now you can make this gun a little bit faster by putting it on this short mag, but this is really not worth it. As for the gun itself, it's got SMG damage, crit damage, and rate of fire next to 5%. I like that there. I do have another version that has damage to targets out of cover, but I really didn't need it. So I just went all in on speed and it feels absolutely great. I'm telling you, you're not going to complain about your time to kill with this one. So I went with measured. So the top half of the mag gives you 20% more rate of fire, and that's what pushes us to 1,890 RPM. So that's the front half of the mag. We're going to lose 30% weapon damage there. It doesn't matter. Nobody will be left standing anyways. The bottom half of the magazine has negative 20% rate of fire. So that pushes the RPMs down to 1,638. Are you going to complain about that? 1,638 RPMs? I don't think so. And you're going to get 30% total weapon damage, which is more weapon damage than you lost on the front half of the mag. So this is a 1-2 punch, and that's because of versatile. This is giving us 35% amplified damage to enemies within 15 meters for our shotgun and SMG. And boy, oh boy, there's very few talents on the backpack that would overwrite Memento for me, and this is one of them. I tried lots of other shotguns when we created this in the lab during the live stream, and in the end, the MOP was the best. So I have reload speed and crits on the shotgun, but this is giving us 10% armor on kill with a base of 130 RPMs, which is only going to get better thanks to the Umbra gear set. That'll boost that by 30%. But what's special about this named shotgun is it's giving us the 10% armor on kill on that high base weapon damage, so we're not losing anything. This thing is actually hitting about the same that the Vector is. And I decided to go with Optimus. You can go with whatever. I don't recommend preservation. That's because you are switching weapons often, and by switching weapons, you would cut off preservation. You can though. You can, but just keep that in mind. Since you are swapping weapons constantly, that 10% armor on kill is happening all the time. So you don't need gunner. And that means you can elect to go for more power. And that's what I did by running the firewall, which opens up the striker shield that allows us to have a damage bonus of 11% per enemy standing in front of us. This is a tier 1 shield, but I don't care because the enemies die so fast, they really don't get that many shots out on you. And if they are taking a bunch of shots out on you, then drop the shield because this is a paperweight. As you can see, we have about 900,000 in armor. I decided not to add any more armor. It just didn't make any sense because we only have 10% armor on kill. Most of the heals is coming in from Umbra, which doesn't require any heals at all. But if you decide you want to roll with more armor, I recommend 1.1 million, maybe 1.3. I really wouldn't add more than that. It just doesn't really make sense. You don't have armor regen. You don't have bonus armor. So it wouldn't be active armor. The enemy's just going to take it away from you with a couple of bullets. So rely on your really strong heals coming from Umbra. Let's jump into the specific pieces. So we're running 4 pieces of Umbra. The first piece is the mask that's giving us 15% crit hit chance, 30% reload speed. That's important because we're spending lots of time out of cover and we're using that mechanic of hit the reload button and swap to our other weapon. So that's really important that we have that fast reload to ensure that mechanic kicks in. So when we return back to our secondary weapon, it's got a full mag. Although this is a new gear set, it's been out for enough time. I'm not going to spend too much time covering this. And as you can see, I have weapon damage, damage and crit damage rolled on everything. You can basically roll crits everywhere because the SMG brings all the crit chance you pretty much need on the build. Now I'm running the chest. This is a very critical piece for the build. That's because it bumps up the 4-piece talent from the shadow, so increase your max stacks from 50 to 100 and stacks gain from 10 to 20. In short, what that's saying is you're gonna get 100% crit hit damage and 30% RPM boost to both your weapons. And then you'll have 40% armor regen that happens over 5 seconds when you return in cover. In case you're unfamiliar, you have to get in cover for 5 seconds to load up on your offensive stacks. And then you have to stay out of cover for 5 seconds to load up on your defensive stats. And you have to get back into cover to heal, which is not a problem. I basically take pit stops whenever I can to take additional heals. And for the gloves, I got weapon damage and crit damage. For the knees, pretty much the same. Now for the backpack, I am running Grupo. I critted it out everywhere, and I'm running the versatile talent, which is at 35% amp damage. So basically you want to constantly swap your weapons. My sidearm is the Busy Bee. Actually, I forget to use this a lot, but it's an additional layer of damage that you can integrate into the build. I do have a little bit of gameplay footage where I did remember to integrate the pistol, and it's worth it. It really is, because when you're behind cover and waiting for enemies to sort of approach you, you can just tag a few of them with this pistol, switch to your weapon, and then activate versatile, which really isn't that complicated. It's not. And then for the holster, I decided to go for the Picaro's holster because why not? 15% weapon damage and an armor core, which is a nice little balance. And then I have crit hit damage. Now we have skill haste. We're not really using that, but it's a little bit helpful when your shield breaks. For the other skill, you can go with whatever you want. I decided to go with the Fixer, so we can take a little bit of heals when we're running around. It's not a strong healer, but when you combine that with the 40% armor regen over 5 seconds and the 10% armor on kill that we're getting basically every other kill, it's plenty. Trust me, this build has plenty of heals. Let's take a quick look at the stats. Crit hit chance, 178% base crit hit damage, which pushes this up to 278% total crit hit damage thanks to the Umbra gear set. You guys, that is a lot of crit damage. Just don't let anybody tell you differently. 278% crit damage on a weapon that is spitting at 1900 RPMs is ridiculous. And on top of that, we're getting 35% amplified damage. Think about that. That's nuts. That's really nuts. I think this is one of the best Umbra builds out there. In fact, I think it's even better than the Chameleon, because there really isn't any stacking, which makes it really nice. Everything is always active. All you have to do is switch weapons. Now, the Chameleon does have its uses. I love the Chameleon, especially when you run lots of armor. The Chameleon can help balance that out, but the stacking kind of gets in the way. And with this one, I'm telling you, up front and back end damage is everywhere. And you got the survivability thanks to that amazing healing power that this build is bringing. The time to kill is so fast, it's amazing. So there is a weakness on the build. Basically, the weakness on the build is missing shots. Don't do it. Stay on target. And so I recommend laying in the majority of your mag on the enemy's chest and then working your way up to the head. If you're always going for headshots, that's going to create more misses and lead to more reloading. But don't worry, you'll be hitting over 700,000 on the chest with RPMs at 1,890, so there's nothing to worry about. And another weakness is basically your resistance. You don't really have any. The shield doesn't have any resistance. Your body armor doesn't have any resistance. This whole build is based on speed. It's got one of the fastest, if not the fastest time to kill in the game. It's absolutely quick. So you need to use that to your advantage. Basically shoot first, kill them before they have a chance to kill you. Now it has threat scaling thanks to the shield, which means you get more powerful the more enemies standing in front of you. But that's not always a good thing because you can simply get overwhelmed. So check your angles, watch your back, and you'll be all right. Builds like these may not always be the best for a new player. Part of the reason why I have a great survivability with this build, and trust me, I died too. I really did. But part of the reason why I survive a lot and have great survivability with this build is because I know my terrain. I know the map. That's nothing but experience. I just play this game a lot, so I know when and where the enemies are going to pop out of. And I also have a general idea of how tanky the enemies are and what my expected time to kill will be once I get a handle on the build. And with this build, you get a handle on it pretty quickly. It is lightning fast, that time to kill. There is no doubt about it. In fact, even the tankiest bosses go down really fast. One thing you have to be on the lookout for is the weak points. Because you're using an SMG and shotgun, you're coming in at basically point blank ranges, and when you hit one of those explosive weak points, it's going to blow up your shield, make you dizzy, all of that bull. I found when I was using this build, I was doing a lot of cover to cover moves, mostly for speed reasons. It's a good way to preserve your offensive stacks and move around the map really quickly. So I was really taking advantage of that, and I recommend you do too. If you haven't checked out the Super 90, I recommend you do. I made it in the lab, live on Twitch in unedited gameplay, where I make all my builds. Follow me over there for more Division 2 fun. Shout out to all the members of Tux's Players Club. I'm really honored to have your support and can't imagine a better way to say thank you than providing you with more of what you love. This playlist on my YouTube homepage hosts your bonus content, extra builds, gamer music playlists, and more. Not a member yet? It's time you join a strong, positive community. Links here and in the area below. I've made a lot of really great Umbra builds, and I'm not done either. In fact, if you haven't checked out the Super 90, I recommend you do. If you like the Vector and you like what you see here, you're gonna like that build also.
Follow me.